Foundation. I like Foundation because it's got the great lanes, like the three big obvious lanes that you mentioned, but then it's got the levels where you can kind of get some good crossing in there. Not crossing like you got on Harbor, but a lot of that real fun action points, especially with the power weapons getting thrown in there.
Yeah.
So what was did we lose? Oh no. What would be the, is that something that you're thinking about when you're going through? Is like, are you starting the lanes and you're moving backwards from that standpoint?
Yeah.
Or
like,
is it the levels? Was that the important thing?
The important thing was, like, the biggest challenge, like I said, was to make this terrain feeling map with, like, clear separations, you know, and just like you said, like, very distinct 3 lanes.
Yeah.
Like, even though the map doesn't have the greatest visibility of battle awareness of what's going on around you, the middle lane, like, connects every lane to each other, right? So, like, even though, like, you don't really know what's, like, well, Ryan's playing right here, like, you don't really know what's going down in the boom room, the cave underneath, pistons, and but all of the lanes connect you there, like, right away, so, like, it's very easy to traverse the map even though you don't know what's going on. And, like, even though, like, there's separation, yes, like, I always have distinct lines of sights, like, from torque bow to boom or boom to torque bow, like, where you can just clearly see, like, the connections and where they are, so, and you know where the crossing angles are, and you just kind of got to put yourself in risky areas, which is down the middle.
Cool. Power weapons.
Power weapons.
Does that come in at the very end, like, when you're thinking about that? Like,
yeah, power weapons, like, obviously we take a big thought process into what power weapons we want in the map, like this map, my very first time making this map and the very first iteration, which I wish I could have shown you guys today, but the technical issues couldn't. But like I had a long shot up on the top middle bridge, like I had a boom shot underneath the bridge, like it really just comes to like trial and error at the beginning, but it really starts to flush out as the iteration gets a little better, and you really think about the positional plays and how the power weapons interact with those positions. Right,
okay. And we'll get into that when we do the blocked out part of the stream in a future state. What's your favorite map you designed?
I
ask Ryan the same question though.
That'll get awkward. So I have to say Foundation, because Foundation is my very first map that I validated that was accepted to be in the Gears of War game.
Really?
So, yeah. So like, and it was
a really good map.
Well, it was a big challenge for me, right? I was a brand new designer in the industry, and don't get me wrong, guys. Like I made like probably like 10 maps before my very first successful map Foundation that got thrown out. Like, they were just unsuccessful. The process is it's a lot of trial and error and figuring out like what's working, what's not, and it's just me trying to learn the Gears fundamentals too at the same time, right? It's like I was only bringing experience from school and not the industry, so it was a big hurdle to get over at the beginning, right? So yeah, so like I have to say this map was in a very long iteration process. It was validated at one point and it was pulled out of validation because the elevations were too high, so there's lots of finesse of like just trying to get the elevations right. Like it took a while to get this map through the door, so it's for sure like the one I'm most proud of.
Oh, that's good. And Ryan, which map do you like best?
All the maps are my favorite maps. Oh, of Garrett's.
Of Garrett's maps.
Oh, okay, that's even more awkward.
Saying that.
I mean, I think they're all really great. I think Garrett has a really fantastic approach. He really goes to the extreme levels of looking at every little detail, so you can see in all the maps they're extremely highly polished. I think Foundation almost broke him. I think we probably pushed him about as far as he can be pushed with Foundation. I think I
lost some years off my life in this map.
So.
Like this map was very challenging.
Like Foundation has like definitely it's close to all our hearts. We proved out escalation on it. We sort of use it as kind of our test bed for a lot of modes and stuff that we're working on. So like from a kind of purely Gears, prominence in our sort of process, this map has been a big part of that. I do, however, have like a a soft spot for Diner because I think Garrett took a very difficult task of trying to make these things work together, the fight inside and the fight outside, and make something unique. And I think that really demonstrated a lot of really maturity in his level design. So I think that Foundation always, I'm sort of cheating. There's two answers. Foundation is definitely a big map for Gears, but I think Diner is really special in terms of Garrett's work.
I like the thing that I like about Foundation is especially looking at the Vista here, is it's versus a Diner where it's got a real expansive feel to it. It feels like you're part of this big world. And it's a good sized map. Don't get me wrong from that standpoint, but the way that the art team really kind of built up the vistas around it, it's got a real openness to it, even though it's got very confined lanes.
Well, it's in my opinion, it's one of the most simple lane structured maps that we have, right? But it's quite tight, right? It's a quite tight map, the cover is spaced out very maturely after all these iterations, but like you said, it does feel like you're kind of in a district or a settlement, kind of just the OOB, which is the Ode of Bounds, just really makes you feel immersed in the map, right?
Yeah. I can tell you that I like Foundation, and Diner is not one of my favorites, only because someone told me that I was the worst player ever while playing on Diner.
Hey.
And in my defense, I think I talked about this last week, in my defense, I was not playing very well.
Some people have favorite maps and some people don't, right?
Yeah.
And it all comes down to experiences on them sometimes too, right?
Well, and I think I've got a mental block, whereas I'm Diner.